I have with me the CEO of FIDE, Emil Sutovsky. Emil, today is a big day because the bids for the World Championship, the official bidding date has come to an end. It was 31st of May. And we are all very eager and excited to know what are the results of it or what is the information you can share with us.
Yeah, thank you, Sagar. We are also excited because it was a moment of truth, let's say. Even till the last moment, we didn't know exactly the number of bids we will be receiving. So at the end of the day, I'm happy to convey that we got 3 bids.
Wow.
And all of them are very serious bids. And I think it's a record number in recent history. At least I can't remember anything similar in 21st century. 3 bids, 2 of them coming from India and 1 from Singapore.
Oh, wow.
All of the bids are backed by relevant guarantees and by government support as well. So these are all very profound ones. They stipulate that the event will be a top-notch event at the top-notch venue, like we really requested to, if you remember our previous conversation.
Yes.
So there will be a lot of discussion inside FIDE, and it will not be an easy choice, but it's great to have such a choice. And I'm happy that our policy proved itself. If you remember our previous discussions, we did raise a bar significantly in terms of how the event should be staged, the financial requirements, the logistic requirements, the quality requirements. And it seems that the organizers realize that the World Championship match does deserve such a profound spending. And I believe that it will be a top-notch event, no matter what would be our choice. And once again, the choice is difficult. And as one of the people who would be, let's say, decision makers in this regards, even I am inside myself, I'm split.
Beautiful. I want to just remind our viewers that we had a conversation with you roughly a month or so ago where we spoke about the $8.5 million, which is to be the bid. My question is, have all the 3 bids agreed to this condition of $8.5 million, or how is it?
All of them are at least 8.5,
Wow.
but at least I cannot specify it publicly, but let's say it is at least, and I cannot disclose the financial details, but it didn't stick to a minimal amount, let's put it this way.
That's amazing. And I want to just talk a bit about these 3 bids. Firstly, from Singapore, because 2 bids coming from India in itself is a bit surprising, but taking into consideration that Gukesh is one of the players, it is understandable. But Singapore, what is their interest in bidding for this match? Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think Singapore has done a tremendous job preparing this bid. I've been in constant touch with Kevin Go, who is the chief of Singaporean Chess Federation, also a chess grandmaster, not playing proactively anymore, but understands very well all sides of chess events, both from playing perspective and organizing perspective. And I can tell that Singapore also aiming to, let's say, leverage on its geographical and also, let's say, multicultural society they have. They have a community which includes many ethnic Chinese and also Indians there. So it's a natural for them to want to host a match which would engage Indian and Chinese players. And in general, they are located in the region where they're a perfect hub for any sort of events, be it economical events, sportive events, entertainment events, and so on. Last year, we started cooperation with them during the project together with IOC, which was about esports, and chess was their part of the game.
Yes.
And we saw that the potential is there for big events, and Once again, it's great we are welcoming this initiative coming from Singapore, and we see that it's a very serious bid. It's not like local chess federation alone pulling it. It is backed by government. It is backed by some private companies. So it's a very serious one.
Wonderful. And with India, there are two bids, which is very interesting because generally to make one bid in itself is tough. But for the country to have two parts, two, I don't know who have made the bids. If you could tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, there are two bids. Basically, the first one came from Chennai. It was the first party to bid. It was hardly surprising because Chennai
Yes.
is a homeland for Gukesh, obviously, but also Chennai is known as a host of incredibly successful events we had in past. Of course, Chess Olympiad was a huge success predominantly, and we know how chess is loved and cherished. I mean, you remember also Vishy's match because Vishy played with Magnus also in Chennai back in 2013. So yes, it was natural that the local government backs it, and we are welcoming it very much because for us it's also important to have. I mean, FIDE is always looking to find this balance between long-term strategic partners and also those who are newcomers to provide an opportunity for somebody new to emerge. So it's always, and here we have this mix because Chennai being already established partner for FIDE, and we know that it's not only just the governmental interest, but people are interested to remember what kind of interest it basically brought when we had the Olympiad, and obviously with Gukesh would be playing there as well. So this is very serious, and again we take it very seriously, and we respect the fact that Chennai is ready again to host the top-notch event.
Amazing. It'll be a huge thing in Chennai that the homeboy is playing in his home city. It happened with Anand in 2013. And now, 11 years later, if it happens, then with Gukesh, which is the second bid from India.
And the second bid came from New Delhi. It is actually the bid which arrived last, but it's certainly not least because it's a very profound bid which foresees staging the event at the most prestigious venue at the venue where G20 was gathered last year. And it is actually backed by AICF and also backed by sports ministry. So there is a bit of an internal clash, but due to intricacies, I would not enter in these details. I, for one, and FIDE, for one, obviously, we welcome this kind of internal competition because it's good that two major parties that want two major cities that want to run the event and to run the competition. We have to be here very, let's say, sensitive to all these matters, not to offend anyone and not to, because FIDE is FIDE, but we obviously do not want to create any extra internal tension within India's organizers or with cities and governments. We actually are very, let's say, we are very keen on building the joint work with India for many years to come, not only for this particular event. So for us, it's also important. Let's say, no matter what, some party would be disappointed by not having the event because you have three bids. Even if you go and there is an idea in the air which we will discuss as part, even if you go and split an event between two, which happened in history,
It's
which
possible,
happened,
yes.
if you remember, Kasparov and Karpov, two of their matches were split. They played New York and Lyon in 1990, and they played London and Leningrad in 1986. So even if you consider that, still you would not split for three venues. So anyways, someone gonna be offended and gonna be not offended, not disappointed, not offended. So we have to tackle it very fairly and very openly because FIDE is from one point of view in a very good situation because we have a choice. We can leverage on an interest of the parties to stage it. But then again, we also do not want to harm, and we also want to the organizers who would not make it this time to keep being interested in hosting top level chess events. Maybe the match next time, maybe not the match. We have a lot of other big events like World Cup or World Rapid and Blitz or candidates. All these are major events, and they are ways to discuss all this in more broader view, let's say. So my task as a person immediately in charge of these negotiations is obviously difficult, and you don't envy me.
It's like we don't know like when there are three ties like at the same score, some tiebreaker has to be used. So is there something that you will use to decide who gets this, or how is it?
There are a lot of different criteria. Let's say I can name you of on the simplest criteria, which is in favor of Singapore being a neutral country. That's one of the criteria. And that's natural. You have a country which is neutral, you have a country which is not neutral. Once again, it does not have to be, and we know that in past many times it happens that one country hosted of the player. We can remember that Vichy played with Magnus, but before that Topalov played with Vichy in Sofia. And these things happen, and there's no taboo on a country of one of the players to host it. No way, but it's certainly a criteria, right?
I think Topalov Vichy was in Sofia, so it was in one of the players. But maybe Topalov Vichy Gelfand.
Yes.
Because Topalov was Bulgarian, right? So
no, Vichy Gelfand played in Moscow.
Yes.
No, Vichy Gelfand played in Moscow, but Vichy with Topalov played in Sofia.
Ah, yeah. You mean the same country? Got it.
The same country, yeah.
Got it.
But again, the number of criteria. For example, we have to take into account the package, which includes all the how would I say, rights which preserved by the organizers and rights which FIDE receives, which could be commercial rights, which could be a broadcasting rights. Once again, I cannot at this point enter to very detailed analysis and break down what was proposed by each of the respective bidders, but these are different. Let's say it's not that every bid has the same story behind it, right? So these are important factors. Now, another factor which we would obviously take into consideration is what scope of activities is planned around the match and how it would be promoted, what kind of money is, because the budget more or less, let's say, it's not the same, but it's more or less in the same scope, but the way it is distributed is different, of course. I mean, one party can spend a seven figure on ceremonies, and another party could maybe go with. So these are different things, And for us, it's also important how this match would feel not only during the match, but what would be the aftermath. How it impacts the chess society, how it impacts the further development of chess, not only in this country or region, but let's say broader. So these all are difficult questions. Another one which we will be looking into as well is what kind of backing each of respective bidders is having, because it's also important whether the event is fully backed just by government, whether it is backed by some bigger brands which would bring further exposure by very fact of being backers of the game. That's also a very important factor. A lot of things, honestly, a lot of things, and obviously, once again, I have to stress it, whether people like it or not. Of course, FIDE's role in distributing and having a part of commercial rights is also important. Let's say how many sponsors, or what could be the sponsored packages which are retained by organizer and which are retained by FIDE. That's important. Broadcasting rights, important. So these are a lot of things which has to be dealt with. But again, it's not something that we'll be deciding just during one internal meeting, and that's it. We will be having consultations internally, talking to bidders, And then next week, towards the end of next week, we will summon a FIDE council meeting with FIDE council members and representatives of each bid. We will invite one or two representatives, probably maybe even two, because in all the cases, it is backed by governmental structure as well. So it's important also that they have a chance to talk about a wider involvement of government rather than purely chess aspect. And that would be a presentation by each of the parties, but also question and answers with everyone. I think after this discussion, we would know more about, let's say, a mood inside the FIDE Council about awarding it, but I do not expect immediate decision right afterwards. I think it would probably take our options maybe a bit down, maybe from 3 to 2 or something, but not an immediate decision. And that decision would be taken in June, but not at the beginning of June.
So you would say roughly a month would be taken? Like when would the world know where the match is happening?
No, I think less than a month, because month is already will be taking us to July. I think it would be second half of June.
Okay. So in a month from now, we'll get to know. And you mentioned so many interesting things that the match can happen, may or may not happen at two locations. And okay, it's very interesting if it happens in India, like, Delhi, Chennai, both are like north and south of India, but also could happen between India and Singapore. So so many possibilities, and it's very interesting for a chess fan to kind of think what will happen next here. Yeah, I don't know if you.
No, I think it's very exciting. I think it's very exciting that we have this person, not because we as FIDE, because let's say for us as FIDE, maybe the choice, let's say, between 3 and 1, like organizing, would be simpler just to have one very good organizer and to go with it. But for chess, it's much better than you have so many interested parties, because then you can plan further. Maybe with some of the organizers, you can discuss, okay, what happens if we don't go with this one, but maybe for the next one, you have a bidder's chance, and so on. So that provides you also a very serious reason to plan further events on a bigger scale. Because you remember our previous discussions, we made quite a serious jump this time from the budget perspective. Our requirements, and I told you from the beginning, it will be a requirement to stage a top-notch event. For us, it's very important, because we could actually just raise FIDE's fee and without raising the all standards and say, okay, now will be the budget not 5.5 but 6.5, just FIDE fees grows because FIDE needs to earn money. But no, for us it's important that the event is of this stature, getting a lot of exposure, getting a superb broadcast, getting a venue where people would thrive for a ticket, trying to get in, because like in the World Cup in football, for example, that it's a world championship match. And I have to say that we have been quite successful with this approach. I have been pushing for this policy from the beginning, and I'm happy and grateful to my colleagues for let's say, supporting it. And it turned out that there is a huge interest, and I think this interest is only going to grow. I remember the discussions. I think I discussed it with Mr. Levitov, who was pushing for, let's say, you don't need any more World Championship match, because who needs a World Championship match these days? A long event, in particular when Magnus is not there. And I told him, World Championship match is a unique thing in the world of sports, not only in chess. I mean, it's a title contested since 1886.
Right.
It's the oldest matchup for any sports. It is a tradition. It is a brand. It is a product by itself already, by the very stature of it. So I think it's very important for us not only to claim that we are so important and we are so meaningful, but also to raise the level of organization. And I'm very, very, very happy that all the counterparts we have been dealing with realize that, yes, indeed, it's not only about the, let's say, There's a amount of money involved, but how the event should be promoted, how the event could look like for the wider community of people, not our chess world, the hardcore chess world of few million people who would watch whatever goes on, but those who have this opportunity to get into chess world, to follow the world championship match, and maybe become fans after watching the exciting match. I'll remind you, last time when Ding played Nepo, many said, okay, this match after Magnus went, it would not be anything special. But you remember what an excitement was.
Yeah.
I mean, every game
Maybe
was
the
a
most
thriller.
exciting match ever, in terms of decisive results and everything.
I don't know if ever, but certainly very exciting. I mean, so much excitement every game, so many emotions, characters. It's a clash. 1-to-1 is always a clash, of personalities, of characters, of playing styles, of different background, of fans who are rooting for this or that player. So I think it's going to be a huge thing. And once again, it's only a beginning, because we are by approving one of the bids, we will just start this campaign, and I think it will be like a snowball. It will be amassing more and more interest in the world, maybe more interest from our partners, and of course for us it's important that whatever co-organizer will that be together with FIDE, they will share our vision and try to not to look only specifically for this match and its impact, but the broader picture, how we take chess to the high level, how we use it and leverage the match towards making chess more, let's say, attractive to the wider community, and to make it an exceptional event.
Right. Yeah, you spoke about this match connecting from 1886 to the present day. I think various administrations of FIDE have had various visions and policies, but this thing has remained constant. The match has been organized, and that has continued. My final question to you is, will the players' viewpoints be taken into consideration in deciding the venue, or that is not something that you would look at as FIDE?
There is no formal stipulation that players have to agree or have to make their choice of the venue. I think that in a situation when it will be a very close call between ourselves, we may do so as an additional argument towards this or that statement. Although it has to be said that with Gukesh coming from India, it is a bit, let's say, offbeat to ask if you want to play in India or not, because even if he doesn't want to play in India and it would be too much of a pressure, he may not say so. So it's a bit of a tricky situation. But anyways, at least at this point, it is not up to players, but it can come into the situations that we will be asking, because once again, we are still to learn all the details, little details, big details we know already for the match. All the important talks are ahead, and we, if we reach a situation where we have to take a very, very, very difficult decision, having very close situation, we may ask players for their opinion, but it's not stipulated in the regulations that it has to be.
Amazing. Well, Emil, thank you so much for sparing time and also for sharing your thoughts on this. We are all going to wait for the next announcement of which venue it is, either in India or in Singapore. But thank you for sharing this information with us.
Thank you, Sagar, and keep doing great job.